Have you ever seen someone in their 60s still commuting every day, not because they love the work, but because they simply don't have a choice? Quiet wealth here. Today I'm going to share this completely for free. And I'm not holding anything back. Because this topic becomes more valuable the older you get. It's retirement. Not retirement as a date on the calendar, but retirement as a system, where you can stop whenever you want. And life is still okay. Your bills are covered, your cash flow is steady, and most importantly, your mind is calm. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people prepare for retirement backwards. They work for decades, save something, and then, as they get close to 60, they start asking, is this enough? And then they hope. But hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a plan. And hope won't save you when time runs out. Because when you're 65 and you realize you don't have enough to stop working, the most painful part isn't just the money. It's that you've lost time. You've lost compounding years. You've lost the years when small decisions could have turned into massive results. And at that point, you get trapped. Trapped in the job. Trapped in anxiety. Trapped in rushed financial decisions that often make things worse. So in this video, I want to walk you through 5 assets you should seriously think about owning before retirement. I'm not saying this to sound dramatic. If you truly want a stable, dignified, stress-free later life, these are 5 foundational layers you need to understand. And I also want to be clear. This is educational content, general principles and mindset. Not personalized financial advice. Everyone's situation is different. So you should evaluate your own risk and, if needed, talk to a licensed professional. But no matter who you are, no matter what age you are, if you stay with me until the end, I believe you'll see something clearly. Retirement isn't one moment. It's a system. And that system is built on assets, not on emotions. Before we go deeper, as always, this channel exists to share strong financial thinking for people who want control over their future, business owners, investors, working professionals, and anyone who wants to move closer to financial freedom. If you want more of these ideas for free, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. And I'm sending a real blessing to everyone who likes this video. May you carry less financial weight and feel more peace about the road ahead. Alright. Let's get into the real value. The first asset, and the most important foundation for retirement cash flow, is a diversified portfolio of high-quality dividend-paying stocks from businesses with long histories of paying dividends consistently and, ideally, growing those dividends over time. Let me emphasize high quality before dividend. Because there are plenty of stocks with high dividend yields that are paying those dividends while the business is weakening. That's not generosity. That's a warning sign. The kind of dividends you want come from companies with real products you see in daily life. Strong brands, real free cash flow, stable profits, and a disciplined culture of sharing profits with shareholders over decades. Why does this matter so much? Because retirement is simple in one way. You need income. When you're no longer working, money has to come from somewhere. And there are 2 common ways people try to fund retirement. The first is selling assets little by little. The second is owning assets that pay you. Selling assets might sound normal, until the market drops. Then you face the worst situation. Needing cash at the same time prices are down. You sell low because you have to. And if you end up living longer than you expected, you keep selling until you eventually run out. Cash-flowing assets are different. You can keep owning the asset. And the asset sends money to you, quarter after quarter, year after year. And if you choose the right businesses, that income can grow over time. That's what creates calm in retirement. Because you're not constantly afraid of running out. Here's a simple illustration, not a promise. Imagine you build a dividend portfolio that pays around 3% per year. If the portfolio is worth $500, that's about $15 a year in dividend income. For many people, that alone won't cover everything, but what matters is the structure. With quality businesses, Dividends can rise over time. And if you continue building while you're still working, those payments become a meaningful pillar. The key is diversification. Retirement is not a casino. It's not about betting on one or two names and calling it investing. You want a disciplined, diversified set of companies across multiple industries. You want clear standards for what you buy and why. And you want patience. Dividend investing won't usually make you rich fast, but it can make you stable for a very long time. Now, the second asset. This one sounds boring, but it's powerful. A low-cost, broad market index fund, something that tracks a wide basket of large, established companies. You might ask, if I have dividend stocks, why do I need an index fund? Because you also need a long-term growth engine that's simple, passive, and tied to the overall economy. Your dividend portfolio can serve as income, but your index fund can quietly grow in the background, helping protect you against the greatest enemy of retirees, inflation over time. Think about real life. If you retire at 60, you could live another 20, 25, even 30 years. Over 30 years, the cost of everything changes. The meal you buy today might cost double later. I'm not predicting exact numbers, I'm pointing at the pattern. Money loses purchasing power over time. So if all your assets are stable but not growing, you can become poorer without realizing it. You might still have money, but it buys less. That's a quiet kind of fear. A broad index fund is one way to keep part of your wealth moving with economic growth, without needing to constantly pick winners. If your dividend portfolio is like a spending account that generates regular income, your index fund is like a reserve vault. You don't touch it unless you have to. You let compounding do its work. And if life throws you a curveball, medical costs, unexpected family needs, a rough market cycle, you have a strong backup. Now let's talk about the third asset, income-producing real estate, or an appropriate form of real estate exposure that can generate cash flow. Let me clear up a common misconception. Your primary home is not an income-producing investment. It's a place to live. It can provide stability and emotional security. It may even appreciate, but it doesn't pay you every month. In fact, it costs you money, taxes, insurance, repairs, maintenance, and opportunity cost. Income-producing real estate is different. It's property you own that someone else pays to use, an apartment, a rental home, a small multi-unit building, a commercial space, depending on your market and your experience. Why is this so valuable in retirement? Because rents often adjust over time with the cost of living. So as prices rise, your rental income can rise too, at least partially keeping up with inflation. Real estate can also diversify your cash flow. There are periods when markets are volatile and people panic. But tenants still need a place to live. They still pay rent. That steady rhythm can help you stay calm when everything else feels noisy. And yes, real estate isn't always easy. Vacancies happen. Repairs happen. Management can be stressful. I'm not telling you to jump in blindly. But if you understand the numbers, choose carefully, and build proper reserves, real estate can become a powerful retirement pillar. And for people who don't want the hands-on responsibilities, there are ways to get real estate exposure more passively depending on what's available and regulated where you live. The principle matters. Some portion of your retirement system should be connected to real assets that can generate cash flow. The fourth asset is a defensive layer designed to protect purchasing power, especially for the money you might need in the short to medium term. In many places, this could mean inflation-protected government bonds or similar instruments designed to adjust with inflation, depending on what's available in your country. Why do I include this? Because in retirement, you can't let your entire net worth swing wildly. You need a defensive position so you can sleep. Inflation is like termites. It doesn't destroy the house overnight. It eats away slowly, year after year, and then one day you realize your fixed income doesn't stretch like it used to. So in addition to growth assets and cash flow assets, you want a portion that's built for stability and inflation resistance. It won't excite you. It won't make you feel like a genius. But it will make you steady. And steady in retirement is priceless. I like to picture a retirement system like a team. You need offense that can grow your wealth. You need midfield that controls the rhythm with consistent income. And you need defense that prevents disaster. People who build only offense might score big, but they also risk losing everything when life hits hard. A real retirement plan is balanced. Now the fifth asset, and this one surprises some people because it's not about earning a return. It's a financial outcome, extremely low housing costs in retirement. Ideally by having your home paid off or carrying very minimal housing debt. Let me repeat so nobody misunderstands me. Your primary home isn't an income investment. But in retirement, it can be one of the smartest moves you ever make, because housing is usually the biggest monthly expense. If you retire while still paying a large mortgage or rent payment, you're under pressure immediately. You need more income. You take more risk. You make more desperate decisions. But if your housing cost is low, your entire retirement becomes easier. You can live well with less income. You have flexibility in bad market years. You have breathing room if medical costs rise. And you have something deeply important, a stable place to stand. A lot of people love to argue. If your mortgage rate is low, investing might make more sense mathematically. Sometimes, in pure math, that can be true. But retirement isn't just math. Retirement is psychology. It's security. It's waking up without that heavy pressure on your chest. In later life, peace is worth more than an extra % or two. If you're approaching retirement with a big mortgage, I'm not telling you to panic. I'm telling you to get honest. You can choose to pay it down more aggressively. You can choose to downsize and reduce the burden. But what you don't want is to walk into retirement with a huge housing payment and tell yourself, it'll probably be fine. Retirement doesn't give you unlimited chances to fix mistakes. When you're young, you can recover from bad decisions with time and energy. When you're older, the cost of mistakes is much higher. So pause for a moment and ask yourself this. If tomorrow your ability to work disappeared because of health, would you have these 5 layers supporting you? If the answer is, not yet, that's okay. The scary part isn't, not yet. The scary part is knowing, and doing nothing. Here's the simplest way to remember the structure. The first layer is income from strong businesses through quality dividend stocks. The second layer is long-term growth through a broad, low-cost index fund. The third layer is real asset cash flow through income-producing real estate or an appropriate equivalent. The fourth layer is purchasing power defense through inflation-aware, stable instruments suited to your market. And the fifth layer is low housing costs so your required retirement income drops dramatically. These aren't for bragging rights. These are for living. And I know the next question. How should I allocate between them? The honest answer is, it depends on your age, health, income, goals, and risk tolerance. I can't responsibly give a one-size-fits-all percentage and tell everyone to copy it. But I can give you a framework. If you're young, you can lean more into growth because you have time. If you're closer to retirement, you'll usually want more stability and reliable income. If you're already retired, risk management becomes even more important because you no longer have a paycheck to correct mistakes. If you're in your 20s and 30s, your biggest advantage is time. Don't wait until you have a lot of money to start. Start with disciplined, consistent contributions. A broad index fund can be a simple starting point while you learn. At the same time, begin studying what makes a great business so you can build a dividend-quality mindset over time. If you're in your 30s and 40s, this is the acceleration phase. You can expand your dividend portfolio. Keep building the index fund. And, if it fits your situation, start learning the real numbers behind income-producing real estate. And you should pay serious attention to housing costs. Because if housing consumes your ability to invest, your future becomes harder than it needs to be. If you're in your 40s and 50s, you don't have time to dabble. You need a plan. You need reserves. You need to build the system intentionally: income, growth, defense, and stability. It can also help to simulate a retirement budget for a few months, so you understand what your real lifestyle costs are. If you're in your 50s and 60s, this is the decision window. Your priorities become clarity, discipline, and risk control. The biggest dangers are usually not missing a big return. The biggest dangers are inflation, healthcare costs, and living longer than expected. You need scenarios. You need a real system. And if you're already past 60 and only now getting serious, I'll be honest, like family, you can still improve your situation. But you can't compress 30 years of compounding into 5. You may need to keep working longer, lower expectations, reduce expenses, and most importantly, avoid the trap of get-rich-quick thinking. At this stage, preservation and stability matter more than thrill. Now let me talk about the mistakes I see over and over again. The first mistake is going all in on one thing. All stocks, all real estate, all cash. People call it safe. But real safety comes from a system that can survive different conditions. The second mistake is retiring without income-producing assets. People save a large amount, but it doesn't produce cash flow, so they're forced to sell. And the moment they're forced to sell, their retirement becomes tied to market timing and luck. The third mistake is ignoring inflation. Inflation is quiet, but it's relentless. It slowly shrinks your lifestyle if your income doesn't grow with it. The fourth mistake is living with a "we'll figure it out later" mindset. You can't build a stable later life on random decisions. You need a plan, tracking, and discipline. The fifth mistake is waiting for the right time to start. There is no day when life suddenly becomes calm and spacious. If you wait, you'll wait forever, and retirement won't wait for you. So what should you do today? I'm not asking for a dramatic move. I'm asking for a small move in the right direction. One step, just one. If you don't have an emergency fund, start building one. If you don't understand broad index funds, spend one evening learning and taking notes. If you've never built a dividend-quality mindset, start studying what makes a business durable. If real estate interests you, learn how to calculate true cash flow, not just dream about price appreciation. If you have housing debt, review your payoff plan and see what you can optimize. One small step today, another next week, another next month. Don't underestimate that. Compounding doesn't only apply to money. It applies to habits. Good habits stacked over time create a different life. I've seen so many people laugh when they're young and say, retirement is far away. But time moves faster than you think. One day you look up and you're 40, then 50, and then the question is no longer, do I want to retire? The question becomes, can I afford to retire? I'm not making this video to scare you. I'm making it to wake you up. Because I believe everyone deserves a peaceful later life. But peace doesn't just arrive. Peace is built, and the materials are discipline, the right assets, and the right system. If you've listened this far, remember this. Retirement isn't a finish line. Retirement is the result of small choices repeated daily. And I want to leave you with a wish, but a wish that comes with action. I hope you stay calm enough to avoid emotional decisions, patient enough to build consistently, disciplined enough to create these 5 layers. And I hope that one day you can tell yourself, I'm not working out of fear anymore. I'm working because I choose to. If this helped you, hit like, subscribe to Quiet Wealth, and share this with someone you want to see doing better in the future. And if you want me to make a follow-up video that goes deeper, how to think about dividend quality, how to understand index funds, how to evaluate rental cash flow, or how to design a retirement budget based on different income levels, leave a comment. I read them, and I'll choose the topics people need most. Thank you for staying to the end. And remember, don't let hope be your retirement plan. Let assets do the work for you.